Hey there, it's Brent Clayton here from Recruitment and today I'm going to run you through the Queensland Physical Ability Test, or the QPAT 1 as it's better known. So let's get into it. So what is a QPAT 1? It's a physical ability test, also known as a firefighter challenge test around the country. It's a circuit of tasks conducted in a sequence to simulate tasks which occur at emergency situations or incidents. So that's why it's relevant. The requirements are: to successfully complete the QPAT 1, applicants are required to demonstrate aerobic fitness, muscular strength and endurance. What to wear: sleeve shirt and long pants or overalls, covered in shoes appropriate for the exercise, so boots or runners. Protective helmets will be provided. Gloves can be used but will not be provided. So if you're planning on using gloves, make sure you've got them. What not to wear: so lycra pants or leggings, shorts and skirts, singlets and small capped sleeves, watches and all types of jewellery, light mesh style shoes for that, like running shoes. So overview of QPAT 1. Stage 1, this is the timed component of the QPAT. So you've got a stair climb, a hose drag, a hose and equipment carry, ladder raise and extension, forcible entry and a rescue simulation. So it's a 20 kilogram vest that's worn to simulate firefighter protective clothing and a self-contained breathing apparatus. Must be completed in 7 minutes and 30 seconds or better. So task 1's the stair climb. As you can see, they've got a stair machine to simulate this, and there's that vest that I spoke about before. So it's a Stairmaster stair climbing machine. An additional 6 kilos is put on each shoulder. Now that is to simulate critical tasks of climbing stairs in full protective clothing while carrying an attack pack or feed pack, which is essentially a hose pack which you'd have on your shoulder. So that's the purpose of that exercise. So this is how it's done. They put 2 additional weights on the shoulders to simulate the attack pack, like I said before, and then to perform a 20-second warm-up on the Stairmaster at a set stepping rate of 50 steps per minute. The timing of the assessment begins at the end of the warm-up period when the assessor calls the word start. Walk on the Stairmaster at a set stepping rate of 60 steps per minute for 3 minutes. So you're going up that extra 10 steps per minute for a total of 3 minutes. After the task, the 2 6 kilo weights are removed from your shoulders, and then you walk within the established walkway to the next task. So the things that will make you fail on the stair climb: the applicant will falls or dismounts the Stairmaster 3 times during the warm-up period. Applicant falls, grasps any part of the assessment equipment or dismounts the Stairmaster after the timed task begins. Handrail is grasped or touched for an extended period of time, or if the handrail is used for weight bearing. So pretty straightforward, but just make sure that you don't do those things on the stair climb simulation. So task 2, hose drag. This is still part of the timed component, and there's a nice illustration of how it's being done from QFES there. And there's the hose pull component of that. So the equipment used for this one is a dry floor, friction slip resistant class F floor, which you can see under her there. 2 64mm Duraline hoses and couplings, and 1 AWG branch, which you can see in her hand there. Alright, so the purpose of this one is to simulate the critical task of dragging a dry hose line from the fire vehicle to the fire, and then remaining stationary while pulling a dry hose line around obstacles. So task 1, grasp the hose line nozzle attached to the 60 metres of 64mm hose and place the hose line over your shoulder or across your chest, not exceeding 2.25 metre mark. Drag the hose 23 metres to a pre-positioned drum, make a 90-degree turn around the drum and continue an additional 8 metres. Stop within the marked 1.5 times 2.15 metre box, drop to at least one knee and pull the hose line until the hose line 15.25 metre mark crosses the finish line, or the 15.25 metre mark crosses the finish line. Right, so failures for the hose drag. Applicant fails to go around the drum or goes outside of the marked path, so just make sure that you keep your eye on the marked path. 2, the applicant is warned of at least one knee's not kept in contact with the ground. Applicants are warned if their knee goes outside the marked boundary line. So with this one, you just got to really make sure you follow the instructions and keep inside of those things. So task 3, hose and equipment carry. So here's a demonstration where they use weights for it, and you can see them carrying a couple of kettlebells. So 20 kilo weight and a 12 kilo weight, so that they're off balance. To simulate the task of moving a coil of hose, standpipe, hydrant, bar or other equipment from a QFES fire truck locker, carrying them to the emergency scene and return equipment to the fire appliance. So pretty straightforward sort of assessment here. So the task is to remove the 2 weights, one 20 kilo and one 12, from the tool locker one at a time, place them on the ground, then pick up both of the weights, one in each hand, and carry them while walking 30 metres. Place a 20 kilo weight at the 30 metre mark and return to the starting point to place the 12 kilo weight back in the original rack. So pretty straightforward. With this one, I reckon you've just got to make sure that you follow the instructions to a T, because that's where you're most likely to muck it up. So the failures are if you drop either weight on the ground during the carry, or if you receive more than one warning for running. So don't be running. Like I said, make sure that you're following the instructions. That's a biggie there. So task 4 is a ladder raise and extension. So with this one, I reckon it's worth getting some practice in if you haven't had much with a ladder. So as you can see, he's walking the ladder up there, and then he's extending it up once it's up there. So rightio, so 2 fiberglass 8 metre ladders typically carried on the QFES fire trucks. The purpose is to assess the ability of the applicant to raise and lower an 8 metre extension ladder. So pretty straightforward. The task: position at the top rung of the first 8 metre extension ladder, which is lying on the ground. Lift the unhinged end from the ground and walk it up until it's stationary against the wall. Reverse the procedure until the ladder is lowered onto the ground in its original starting position. So pretty straightforward. Once again, just make sure you're following the instruction. So the next bit is proceed to the second pre-positioned and secured 8 metre extension ladder, which you would have seen in the picture before. Extend the sliding section hand over hand with the ladder line until the ladder is fully extended. So make sure you use the hand over hand method for that. And we'll just go back and have a quick look at it. As you can see there, he's onto the line at the moment, extending it. So the failures for this one, there's a warning if the applicant misses any rung during the raise and lower of the first ladder. Once again, it's making sure you follow the instructions and don't miss any rungs. If the applicant allows the ladder to fall to the ground, that's fairly obvious that that'd be a failure. Applicant is unable to fully extend the ladder, so that's where you're going to need a bit of strength and good technique with the hand over hand to get across the line there. Applicant allows the sliding section to fall uncontrollably, so we don't want that. Not completing the task within the allotted time, so that obviously says to me that that's a common thing that happens. Alright, task 5, forcible entry simulation. So here's a photo of a guy carrying out the forcible entry simulation test with a hammer. So the equipment, this task uses a forcible entry simulation machine, which you can see there, which is that bench looking thing. A 4.5 kilogram sledgehammer. The purpose is to simulate the critical task of using force to open a locked door or to breach a wall. So pretty common occurrence. So the task is to use a 4.5 kilogram sledgehammer to strike the measuring device in the targeted area until the assessor calls stop. Place the sledgehammer on the ground. You've got to strike the area with the right amount of force until you're told to stop. So here's the failures. If the applicant does not maintain control of the sledgehammer and releases it from both hands while swinging, the applicant misses the targeted area, you'll fail. So it's worth having a look at the image back here. You can see the area is not huge, although it's not a big hammer. It's just testing your ability to strike it in the right spot with enough force. So it might be worth having a practice or just at least picking up a sledgehammer and giving that a go. Task 6, so the casualty rescue simulation, still part of the timed one. As you can see there, he's just dragging the dummy along by the shoulder straps. So the equipment is the friction slip resistant thing that we saw in the earlier image with the hose drag. 78 kilogram weighted mannequin equipped with a harness incorporating shoulder and chest handle. So 78 kilos in the mannequin that you've got to drag. So to simulate the critical task of removing a victim from a room or a compartment involved in fire through the path of egress to safety, basically. So grasp a 78 kilo mannequin by the handles of the harness located at the shoulders, as you saw in the image, or the chest. Drag it 11 metres to a pre-positioned drum. Make a 180-degree turn around the drum and continue an additional 11 metres to the finish line. So it's a bit over 22 metres once you get around the drum there with the 78 kilograms. So it's worth figuring out sort of what 78 kilograms feels like to you. So applicants are allowed to release the mannequin to adjust grip. The entire mannequin is to be dragged until it crosses the marked finish line. So make sure you get it right over the finish line there. Failures: if the applicant grasps or rests on the drum at any time, so don't grasp or rest on the drum. If the applicant allows the mannequin to touch the drum, so that's make sure that no part of the mannequin touches the drum. So stage 2 is a time static hold, so like a rescue equipment hold. Immediately after stage 1, which was the time thing that we spoke about before, the 7.5 minute, a 2-minute recovery period you're allowed before going on to stage 2. So the 20 kilo weighted vest is removed, and then we get into the equipment hold. So it's a Helmatro hydraulic rescue cutter and hose or similar, weighing 19 kilos. So basically a 19 kilo piece of sort of lopsided gear that you've got to hold. So the purpose is to simulate the ability of the applicant to hold equipment in place when using hydraulic rescue equipment. I would suggest that this is one of the harder that you'll come across, and a spot where quite a few would fail because it requires a bit of core strength. So grip the hydraulic rescue cutter by the D handle and operating handle at the 3 designated hold positions for a period of 20 seconds each. So the 3 designated holds are below the knee hold, at your waist hold, and above the shoulder hold. So I suggest getting a bit of practice in maybe just in the above the shoulder hold position for that one, because you can get a bit shaky if you're not used to this sort of task. So once the above shoulder hold is complete, this constitutes 1 evolution. 3 evolutions are performed with a 20-second rest in between. Applicants may rotate the tool around within the rest period only. So there's no moving it. Once you've got it in the position, that's it for your 20 seconds. So here's a demonstration of it right here. As you can see below the knee, it's a bit like a squat position. The applicant grips the rescue tool by the D handle and operating handle with an overhand grip. As you can see, that overhand grip there. Alright, the applicant then squats down in a crouching position with a hydraulic rescue cutter below the knees, parallel to the ground. This position is held for a period of 20 seconds, like I said before, and the applicant can embrace their arms with their thighs. So that's probably something to take a bit of notice of with his thighs there, how he's got it rested there. So yeah, so here's the waist hold, just a picture of the person holding it there with the overhand grip again. D handle and operating handle again with the overhand grip. Applicant performs a squat and then stands. The applicant holds the hydraulic rescue cutter with elbows straight at waist height parallel to the ground for a period of 20 seconds. Above shoulder. So as you can see here, this is probably the most difficult one because you're unable to really rest it as much as you were in the other 2. Applicant remains standing, continues gripping the D handle with an overhand grip. With the other hand, the applicant repositions their grip on the operating handle with an underhand grip, as you can see there. The hydraulic rescue cutter is then raised in a curling motion to above the shoulder height and held parallel to the ground for a period of 20 seconds. The hydraulic rescue cutter must not rest on the body. Failures: the rescue tool cannot touch the applicant's body but must not rest on the body. 1 warning is given, so 1 warning only. Tool is not parallel to the ground, 1 warning is given for that. The applicant did not complete the 3 evolutions. So you were unable to get through the whole 3 evolution. Okay, so that wraps up an overview of the QPAT 1. A couple of things just to bear in mind. Like if you can get to the QPAT demonstration, I'd definitely make sure that you get down there and have a look and have a go at all of these things. If you can't, it's worth studying the material and then trying to simulate these things, because once you're there on the day, if you miss one little thing, it'll be an instruction or something that you didn't consider that'll normally trip people up. It's just too late, and it'll put you back on the bench for another year. So hopefully this has been some help to you on your upcoming application. I'm Brent Clayton. This is firerecruitmentaustralia.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.